This is Hospitality and Politics, powered by the New York City Hospitality Alliance. I am Andrew Ridgie, and today I am here with Nadia Chaudhury, who is a Queens-born writer. I like that, Queens. Editor and photographer who serves as deputy editor of Eater New York and Eater's Northeast region after spending a decade leading Eater Austin. How you doing?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me on this.
Of course. So we had dinner not too long ago.
It was summer.
It
right?
was summer.
What is time?
Yeah,
it was summer, I think, right?
I was running there
Yeah.
a few minutes late from another event.
Okay.
I remember I got there. I was like, really hot. With our friend Joe DiStefano at 28 Nomad.
Yes.
Which was a terrific restaurant. And we had such a good conversation. I was like, we should try to expand upon that terrific conversation. And now here you are.
And here I am.
All right. So I think most people probably know what Eater is, but just in case if they don't know what Eater is, can you tell us, please?
My journalism thing is to never assume what people know and don't know and always act as if you're just telling them, just in case.
That's very good. I say that a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, we do like a lot of advocacy. So I'm like dealing with like restaurants and bars and government. And like government, everything has an acronym. You know, it's SBS and DOH and FDNY and NYPD and DOB. And I'm like, for people who are not like in the know, don't presume or assume. So anyways, thank you for that.
Yeah. So I've been at Eater for a very long time. I think I just celebrated my 11-year full-time anniversary over the summer, which is like, wow, to be somewhere in today's climate, to be somewhere for that long.
Seriously.
Essentially, at Eater, we are covering where to eat, why it matters.
Mm-hmm.
So like that intersection of food with the entire world is what I like to say.
Wow. How long has Eater been around? Do you know?
Celebrated their 20th anniversary last summer. So now they're 21, so they can legally drink.
That's pretty important in this business, right? If you're going to go and talk about food and spirits and wine. So I want to talk about Eater. I want to talk about just so much stuff with you. But the night when we had dinner, we were kind of going around. We were like, oh, well, like, you know, what did you do before this? Like, did you have a connection to the industry? Like, oh, I worked in restaurants. And you didn't work in a restaurant, but you have some like really deep, good roots in food. Well, anyways.
The food world.
The food world. Yeah. Tell us.
So my uncles, my Alam uncle and Aziz uncle co-own Kalustyan's. I'm sure many listeners have shopped there, have met my uncles and my Ruby auntie. And my father is the general manager there and has been there for a while. So if you've been to the store on 20th and Lex, and you see the man sitting in the middle of the store with his wonderful big desk set up, that's my daddy. Amazing. So for people who haven't been there, I love it. I was recently there and I'll tell you some of the things we got. But can you just tell us a little bit about the history of the store? And I mean, it's I'm going to forget the actual history. I know it opened a long time ago by someone else. I don't know when my uncles took over.
Okay.
And I forget exactly when because again, I was young, right?
Yes.
I forget when exactly my father started working there. But I know one of his earlier jobs was actually on the other corner of the block at I don't know if it's Spice and Sweet.
I don't know if it's
on the other side of like, so more close to 29th Street, which is like funny. There's like photos of us at like a street fair, me, my brother, sister, and my mom and my dad, like very little. So like it's been there for a long time. International food, anything you want to cook or cook adjacent with, all the spices, all the salts, all the rices, all the beans, anything you want to dream of, you can get there.
Yeah, it's like a spice food museum where you can go buy everything. I mean, because I was there with my wife, as we discussed, you know, she's Persian, and you could find these, you know, in Iran, they're not, but here, you know, it's very difficult to find some of these spices or some of these dried fruits or the dried, you know, limes.
The dried fruit is so good there. So good. My dad sends me, or what do I always get? I really like the dried strawberries,
Ooh.
actually, because I feel like that's dried strawberries and dried cherries.
Yes.
And the dried figs are fantastic, actually.
I've had, yes.
Yeah.
There's it's one of those stores where you go in and it's just like every time you think I have got enough, you see something else, like, I'll just get a little bit of this.
Just
and a lot
try
of it is, you buy it by weight. So it's like, oh, just get a little of this, a little of that. And before you know it, you have like 2 or 3 huge heavy bags. You're walking out. You're like, ugh, I got to get out of here.
It's fun because it's for both me and my sister, especially my sister. We have like running shopping lists from my dad. So I always get ginger paste, ghee, sriracha because I'm that person, and tea because my husband drinks a lot of tea, and like sometimes rice or like re-upping our rice and all that fun stuff from them. And
it's just like over the years, when you talk with chefs and obviously you're writing about restaurants and food, so many of them are connected and know the store, and it just holds such an important and prominent place. There's so many amazing food places in New York City, and I feel like this is one of those that just holds such a special, iconic place. And I don't use the word iconic, lightly, but I really think it holds such a special place within the food world in New York City.
And it's interesting because I never, growing up, I'm pretty sure, I was probably in elementary or high school. I don't know. Because in high school, actually, when they used to have the deli upstairs before they expanded, in high school, my friends and I would actually hang out there a lot, in the summers and stuff, because we were just idiot New York high school kids, running amok in the city. But I didn't understand the significance, or I didn't realize how widespread it was. But then they had a segment. Martha Stewart shopped there. They filmed a segment on the show for Martha Stewart, and I remember my dad didn't go to the studio, but they filmed a segment with him, and I remember I wrote out a script for him to so he could figure out what to say on the camera and stuff. So it exists online. It's fantastic. It's so cool. Or and he would tell us occasionally oh gosh, what was the one I was really? There's someone from the band Television used to shop there a lot, and I know Jimmy Fallon and Chrissy Teigen. And there's a joke me and my sister and brother said, I think we saw a photo of Chrissy Teigen posted on Instagram of her being at Kalustyan's, and we asked my dad about it in our WhatsApp chat. And my dad was like, I don't know these famous people. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's just so funny. And again, famously, Padma Lakshmi shops there often too.
Yeah, I mean, so many people. It is truly one of those special places. Do you think that, well, I would say when you're a kid and you're growing up, it's just, you don't, these things don't always register sometimes until you get older and you have that aha moment, Martha Stewart. And then especially when you start kind of getting into that business, did it help influence the direction of your professional career, or did that kind of come out a completely different way? It's
interesting because I don't necessarily think of myself I am a food writer, and I know that that's my bread and butter. That's my beat. But I also think of myself just a journalist who happens to write about food. I think in hindsight, it all makes sense because again, growing up, my mom's food was it all be all and all that. And going out to restaurants was just so fun, and just trying out things. In high school, I remember my friends and I also had a phase where we were really into non-alcoholic fancy juice cocktail things. Why? I don't know. There was a place in Seaport we really liked. And for me, it's just food and restaurants and chefs and that entire world is just a fascinating way. It's that larger, it's a lens to look at the entire world. And you get the people stories, you get history of the spices or types of cuisines in certain areas or cities. Just even the cooking techniques or how someone was inspired. You've got again, political, the political intersection as well. Again, during COVID, that was my hard boot camp into more hard news reporting of learning the laws, talking to the mayor, figuring out quotes. It touches everything. And I also I have a lot of fun with the pop culture food intersection too. It just happens to be food, but it also makes perfectly sense that it's food, honestly.
I always say that I think for better or worse, you can get a great representation of what's happening in the outside world by looking within the four walls of a restaurant or a bar.
Agreed.
You know, whether it's the cuisine and the demographics and the conversations and
Price
the
points.
tone, the price points. It really represents kind of what's happening on the outside world. And kind of going what you were saying with like your mom cooking, your family in the business, or whatever your background is, like people connect with food and those traditions around consuming those foods, both with family or like even like you said with your friends, you're going out and you made me think of like, I guess what's old is new. Now look at all these NA cocktails, you know?
We were on it was in the early 2000s and that was like our thing.
Yeah.
No, we didn't go out to drink. We drank non-alcohol. Like it was so funny.
It's funny. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, you know, kind of Eater and writing. So what are you focused on now? Like when you're writing stories for Eater about restaurants and what's happening, like where's, I guess, the focus of Eater as a whole, and then kind of more specifically like your beat?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a mix, and especially like in today's, you know, media climate where everyone's trying to diversify the way we are telling readers and people in the industry what's happening. So we're still doing on-site stuff. So like articles and that kind of fun stuff. We're exploring more with videos, and social videos, social meaning like Instagram videos and things like that. We are playing around with newsletters. So a lot of like Eater's like, I feel like this is like Eater's main thing is like openings and closings.
Yeah.
Openings, closing. You want to know what's opening. You want to know the cool thing that's opening. You want to know about the longtime restaurant that like was forced to shutter because of rent hikes and things like that, or being pushed out for development. So that's been like, you know, trying to break the news or being on top of the cool things or the interesting things that are opening and closing, especially opening, because that sort of feeds into like our later project of the Eater Awards, and like that feeds into like national accolades and all that fun stuff.
Who's the average Eater reader?
I don't know. I hope someone who is so, I don't want to use the word obsessed. Someone who's just someone who cares about where they eat and wants to eat and wants to know the stories behind where and what they're eating, instead of just like, it's not just about the food. It's a context, right? Like it's everything. That's what I would say. Age wise, I have no idea. Like I'm slightly older than many of my cohorts. Like I think
it's probably, I mean, I don't know. I would guess that it's probably
people
all
who
over
have money
board.
to spend, I guess, or like are trying to be wise about where they're spending their money to, and they want to be told this is a place that's worth spending your money at.
Well, I know people sometimes, if they're coming into New York and they reach out to me and they're like, oh, like, do you know about this place? And they'll send me a link to an Eater article, you know? And I always think that's
the key. That's
cool,
the key.
You know? And I know actually when I go to other cities, and I'm trying to figure out, I usually do two things. One, you know, I'll just, you know, put it in, usually an Eater article will come up. Or I also just like post on my social media, like I'm going wherever, you know, where should I, you know, go and eat? And then I always ask cab drivers. And so what's your focus? Like, I mean, I know you do a lot, but
what makes me happy? That's the question. No, there's you know, that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, what do you like to read about? What makes you happy to write about?
Yeah, I really love writing about the people that are opening restaurants or doing things that are like genuinely exciting to them and sound fascinating to me. A recent example of this would be, I happened to see it on Instagram because I get a lot of like info on Instagram because I feel like that's been like the news feed of like that people use. It was a bar that was opening up in Williamsburg, I believe, called Doki Doki. And like the peg was Japanese Latin American. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I want to learn more about this, right? And so like I reached out to them and they were telling me, you know, it's like the two bar owners, they're exploring their roots and they're exploring like their experiences through this lens of Latin American and Japanese bar culture with food and drinks, and like how they're doing it with, I forget it's like they only have a beer and wine license. Okay. So they're having fun with like sojus and things like that. And it's like, that made me so excited. Yeah. So writing the article, like interviewing them on the video interview and like seeing the photos and just like learning about like their insights into that kind of stuff makes me really happy.
So like, how do they? Obviously, they have to have a good and interesting story, clearly. But like when you're writing about them and you're learning about the drinks they're making, when you're learning about the cuisine, like what is the best way for a bar owner, a restaurateur, chef to communicate this to you in a way that you can understand what their vision is and really write about it in a way that translate properly on a page or on a screen?
I mean, that's I'd be curious to know what, if you were to read the article, what you would think. I hope they're happy with it too. It's that's the skill of a journalist. Honestly, it's asking the right questions. Okay. It's also like, I feel like journalism, especially, it's teaching yourself. So like I know what soju is now, right? Like, and it's like learn, and also like it goes back to the thing, a callback. I'll ask them to explain it to me and in their words. And then I'll do my research, like when I'm transcribing the interview, and like I put like the way I write is like I'll like write out all the details of my article, or like the details I know I'm going to use, and like I'll leave notes to myself of like, look this up, find a different word or whatever, or give context for like what soju is or something like that. And that feeds into that, like it paints that broader painting artwork, paintbrush, whatever the phrase is actually. And it's, again, it is, and I feel like it is, you know, obviously just like sending me information, but it's also understanding, I guess, from like a business owner's perspective or a marketing or PR's perspective of like, because I am only one person, it sucks that I can't get to everything at once. I'm sure there's so many really interesting places that have fell off my radar, or like I missed completely, and that sucks. But it's that like peg. It's like that interesting peg. Or like if it's someone like I trust who's like, hey, you should check this place out, or I heard about this place, like because they know me and what I like to write, or like what gets me excited when I write. That helps too.
So do they, I mean, I know you said obviously Instagram is the way that you're finding it, but are you still getting like old school pitches where you open up your inbox and you have a million press releases? Does that work still? Like what's the best way? If I have a restaurant and I'm like, I'm doing something really, really interesting that I think Nadia would love, how do I?
Email is best, because I try to keep, I mean, I still get DMs. Please never text me. I don't like text messages. Don't call me. No one uses the phone that way, or I don't use the phone that way. Email's the best, and like, but don't get hurt if I don't reply, because I feel bad. I do try to reply as often as I can, but I'm also one person.
Let's go deeper in the process. So you found a place you want to write about because you think it's interesting. What is your journalistic process of identifying a place, and then, you know, you go there and dine? Do they know you're going? Do they invite you? Do you sit down at the first meal and talk with them? Like, what's your...
It's usually like, especially for a place that hasn't opened yet, like, and that was something I had to get up semi-quickly because they were opening soon, or they opened, but it was 4th of July weekend. So it was like, and we were also like out of office, like, and I was like, okay, I'll get it up after the weekend, and I'll write it ahead of time. So with that, I think I just DM'd them. I'm like, hey, I saw you guys opening. Like DMs in that sense is fine because a lot of people don't have websites or like email addresses. And I find I try to like, I go broad, like I'll DM on Instagram, and I'll also send an email. Right? If there's an email address attached to anywhere. DM and says, hey, I'm Nadia with Eater. I just saw that y'all are opening soon. I find it very interesting. I forget exactly what I said. Interesting. I'd love to like talk to y'all and write about you. And I know like another big thing is, so like that. And then I guess they did have a marketing person. So the marketing person reached out to me via email. We set up the interview, and I explained like what I would like. Ideally too, I mean, in this world of everyone competing for readers' attentions as well, like I ideally like to have these as exclusives instead of like the one press release that gets widely sent out to everyone, and then you see all the articles coming out an hour afterwards that basically like because I also want to be able to like, I don't want to report just on press releases. And that's like that's a side of journalism that like I disagree. Like even if you get a press release, you should go beyond what is written in the press release. There's more information, there's more context, there's more like if a place is opening, I know I'm rambling. I'm so sorry.
No, that's
if a place is opening, like you want to know a little bit about the owners. You want to know if they're hiring this bartender, like what's this bartender's background? Because sometimes there's like really interesting tidbits that you can discover that way.
I think so much of the interesting story is in those tidbits or like in between the lines that are not on the press release.
Exactly.
You know, like everything can be curated and written very specific on a press release, but I at least think whether it's food journalism or any type of journalism, it's the stuff that's not what you traditionally think you should be reading or understanding. It's when they kind of take you behind the scenes a little bit and you feel like, oh, I can taste that, I can see that, or like that's something unique that I want to experience.
Exactly.
You know, because anyone can make something sound delicious on paper.
Or like if if they say like, I'm trying to think of an example, a spiced beef rib. I want to know what spices are you using. Like it could be an interesting spice, you know, like something different or like unusual or something like that, right? And it's maybe there's a story about
knowing about spices, like also, what region of the world is it from? And why did you choose that spice?
Exactly.
Just weaving the narrative,
and that is what journalism is, and that's what food writing is, which I feel like a lot of people don't understand that in today's world.
So there's food writing, there's like restaurant reviews, and all these spectrums of kind of food media. Let's say, what do you feel, to go kind of a little deep? Like, what do you feel is like your duty to your craft? When you publish an article, what do you feel your responsibility is to the craft of food writing, the culture of restaurants, cuisine?
For me, it is giving context. I think that's like the most important thing. Even if it's positive context, negative context, like it's just providing the facts that exist and putting it all together so that the readers are informed.
What is going on in the world of, I mean, I would say just media in general, but like food media, social media, and I guess maybe more in like food reviews, you see this in just kind of general food writing. But now everybody, you mentioned Instagram, you go through Instagram and everybody's reviewing restaurants. Everyone has their, best list of this and that and this and that.
Everything is the best.
Everything's the best. And they often follow the same format. How's that like changed your job? Because it's a competition for eyeballs and attention span. And also, like I said, a duty. I feel like when you're working for a publication and this is your profession versus just like a hobby, you have a different commitment to what you put out there. So how's it changed your job, the outside pressure of like social media, food? Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough out there. I mean, it's the world is changing. AI is messing everything up. Please don't use AI for your restaurant recommendations. Talk to real people. It's stealing our traffic, right? Like and that in turn impacts advertising, and that in turn impacts our revenue, which impacts salaries, which is, budgets and all that stuff, So like, I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. And it's very difficult. Like and we're obviously getting into getting into video, playing around with that sphere because that's something, we don't want to be left behind either. And we know that we have a better authority in that contextness that we can provide compared to some of the other people that are out there. So we're trying to use what we're good at in ways that, and again, like those videos are doing well, right? Like there are apparently, there are people who are watching them. There are people that reference certain people, certain accounts and all that stuff. So like there is something to be said of like, there's a hunger for that. And it's just making yourself that trusted voice. Yeah. And so, so there's that.
I forget what year, but there was at some point, I think Eater did like, I don't want to say call it like a hard turn, but they really started focusing on, not just all the popular restaurants that many of the people are talking about when they're, reviewing because they're an influencer, but like in neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs. And I think that that's really cool. And it's been able to give exposure. Yeah. So like, can you just talk a little bit about that process? Yeah. Because a lot of those places are not places that you will learn about by, scrolling through a feed. They're places where someone who lives down the block has to recommend it, or you just happen to be in a neighborhood for something and you like, let me check out this place.
It's wandering. It's legitimately just wandering and going to place. I mean, we had Robert Seistema was like very fantastic, who is a former Eater critic, fantastic at wandering and writing about his wanders and that kind of stuff. I think that's like where it gets really exciting. It's the like, this looks interesting, let's go in and figure that out. It's hard to do, but it's something that's very important, and I know I should do a better job of that.
How do you order off of a menu?
Ooh,
like, what's
boy.
your process when you sit down and you look at a menu, and especially if you want to get a good understanding about this restaurant, like, how do you approach it?
Knowing me, I have been looking at this menu for weeks before said reservation, trying to figure out my game plan. It's, I will, whatever sounds interesting to me, based on previous readings of it, or if there's like say I wrote about a place like an opening article, and one of my questions I always ask people is like, what's the one dish that you feel like you're really excited for people to try? Get that dish. A nice mix of like sweet and savory. I'll always get dessert. It's hard. It's very hard. And it's like easy to over order, but then it's like, but also I want to try a little bit of everything. So that's what leftovers are for.
Is it as fun? I mean, it's people always say like, do you just like eat out? And like, I eat out a lot, but that's not like really my job. But, is the experience, well, two things. Like one, do you get to, like when you go out and eat, are you always working? And how does that change the dynamic of your overall experience? Because a lot of times I'll have like on the show, chefs or restaurateurs, and I like to ask them when they walk into their restaurant, like what's the first one or two things they look at? Or if they go out to another restaurant, like they're never fully shut off. They're doing market research. So what is it that they're looking at? And, sometimes they'll say, I like to sit and I like to face the wall because if I'm looking at the dining room, I can't focus on like my meal, but like, where was I going with that? Yeah, like what's your...
everything can be a something, which is like unfortunate, honestly. But then that's like where you can have fun with it. Like it goes back to that randomness. I'm trying to think. I did a dining report, which is like Eater's versions of like little mini recaps of dining experiences. I went to, where did I go? Italian restaurant in Brooklyn Heights, noodle pudding. Yeah, I had it on my long list of places to go. I was with a friend who was visiting from Austin. I know her preferences. She wanted an Italian, not a seafood Italian place. And I was like, why don't we just go here? And like, but then I didn't plan on writing it, but then like, I obviously, it's hard. I don't know what the world will be like. My world will be like if I'm not doing this as a job.
Yes.
It'll be weird. It'll be really weird.
Well, what's so interesting, and I think about it like with my work, and I imagine it's similar with you, tell me if I'm wrong, that it's part of your lifestyle. Like a lot of people experience going out to restaurants as just that, going out to restaurants and that kind of culinary and social experience, which I think we both do as well. But there's also the work aspect. I go out and then I'm talking with the chef or the restaurateur and they're complaining about this rule or regulation or this frustration.
It's like,
or this
pocket
thing.
that in my like.
So it's an interesting kind of dynamic to look at the lens of this is kind of, social, but it's also my work too.
It's part of my identity, and I know this, or I know this about myself.
What do you think are the fundamentals of a good restaurant, regardless of cuisine or price point or, casual versus fine dining?
Hospitality. It's, making sure that everyone feels welcomed and not that they're, and it's the vice versa of that. Like, I try to be very understanding with staff and they're under a lot of pressure. I get it if you're not going to refill my water all the time. And I get it. You're doing like a billion things at once. But at the same time, just making sure that, that me as a diner, I feel like comfortable and I don't feel like I am bothering you or like that I'm like, you're just like looking at me like, why are you even here?
Yeah.
It's making your diners feel welcome without being too overly like, OMG, like, is every bite good after every single bite that you had kind of thing. And and a lot of places are good at that. It's hospitality.
Yeah.
And like decent prices, obviously, and fantastic food, comfortable seats.
How do you deal with the situation? Because the place you mentioned was just opening, and like it can take a while for a restaurant to get its legs underneath it. So what's your approach to like, when is the appropriate time to, review a restaurant, critique it? Restaurants can have a bad day. Individual servers or bartender can have a bad day, and it may not be reflective of the overall experience. And I know, historically, like food reviewers, you go back multiple times, so you have the whole context. But, what's like the approach of, being fair, but also being honest?
I will like, that's a great question. And it's my thing of like, I've had off visits at places, but I also know like, hey, it happens, like again, even when I cook for myself, sometimes it sucks. It's not good. Right. And because I feel like that's a difference between like the general writing about food and restaurants versus food criticism, which I think it's its own lane and its own complete career path, its own complete different job. Yeah. Food criticism, like again, like Helen Rosner, and people like that, that is a craft. That is like, they are thinking about exactly what they're trying to express through their reviews by their again, I do think multiple visits because of the bad time, and that's what they're paid to do. They're paid to go to these restaurants multiple times and like try their best. Obviously, I'm sure everyone knows what they look like, but like see what it's like and bring other people with them to get a variety of like timing and like dishes and all the things. For me, like when we do our one-offs, like if something sucks, I'm just not going to write about it. Yeah. Honestly, because like what, it's just, there's no need to. Yeah. Honestly, like I don't think the world needs to know that I had a bad experience at this restaurant when they might have had an off day. It's not worth it.
What do you like to eat?
Everything. Oh my goodness. Like it's oh God, everything. I really love like what am I really into right now? I'm trying to think of my upcoming reservations. Where my husband and I are one of these people. We went to Japan for the first time last year, but so like I've been on a real like just wider pan Japanese food kick just because we're trying to relive that amazing vacation that we've never taken. Like,
I want to go to Japan. I've never been, and I told you I have a plan where I'm going to go with my daughter in a couple of years. We want to spend a nice time traveling through the country,
explore
the food, the culture, rural areas.
I love Japanese food. I love sushi. I forgot how good New York's Thai food scene is. So that's been really nice to be back here and get to explore that. Can
you shout places out like that you really like?
It's also, so this is like the tricky thing of, okay, born and raised in New York, been here for a while. We lived in Texas for 10 years. Now I'm back. I don't have regular places really, like too many regular places. I feel like my checklist is like, you don't even want to know how many places.
Also, part of your work is to go out and to experience all new places. And I think that's also a tough thing just in general, like the restaurant regular. That's something that seems like a bygone era where like people had their not that they don't anymore, but people used to really have like their regular place, and they still do, but I feel like for so many restaurants for so long, like you really have to rely on your regulars, because they're the ones who will consistently come, spend money, and just be there and help fill your dining room or sit up at your bar.
I feel like also there's been a recent I don't know how to, like a recent wave of restaurants opening that are trying to adhere to like the cultivating the regular and being walk-in friendly and having sort of a pan-general sort of meal. I think it was Grub Street that has been talking about the tavernization of everything now that's been opening. And that I think that's along, like the tavern is now the new place to go, like where you can have dishes for a little bit for everyone, but then be casual and be walk-in friendly and not have to wait in line, hopefully. But even though that happens anyway, like it's an interesting thing. So I'm hopeful that places are successful.
Yeah, me too. I think that's someone was just asking me, I did some TV interview and they were talking about the tabs, the house accounts.
Yeah, it was a T magazine thing, right? Which is fascinating.
Which is kind of like what is old is new again. But it's a way you can kind of go in and you really feel like, this is my neighborhood spot. You can walk out and you tally up at the end of the month or whatever it is. But it's that old school, thing. Or if it's a really neighborhood friendly restaurant, like you have kids, they can go in and they grab something and it gets added to the house tab.
And that's sweet, actually. That's very, I like that.
So it's an interesting, it's just like the ever evolving industry. Yeah. So what do you do? So if people come to New York, I have two questions for you. These are going to be hard-headed. The first one is like, if you're just talking to a fellow New Yorker and they're like, all right, Nadia, tell me, where should I go eat? What do you say to them? And the second part of that, if someone's coming from outside of New York to New York and they're like, I'm going to be here for 2 days, I want to go just experience some good New York restaurants. Like, what do you say to them?
It's my answer to that would be, even if people were visiting Austin, Texas, it is, okay, where are you from? If it's from people visiting, and if it's a New Yorker, what do you like to eat? How far do you want to go from where you live? Because there's so many answers. Again, going to I'll focus on the tourist person first. If it was a Chicago person coming to New York, I'm going to guess maybe you want to try New York pizza, but maybe you don't. I'm not going to send you to a pizzeria necessarily, because that might not be what you want to seek out. When I go to other places, I don't seek out pizzerias because I got pizza here. I don't need it. Or for barbecue, I had it in Texas. I don't need it anywhere else. So it's what is it where you're from? What is it that you would like to do? How easy do you want to make a reservation, or do you want to be able to walk in? Do you want something casual? Do you want something fancy? How much do you want to spend? And again, I think location is where are you staying? Yeah. Do you want to stay nearby? Because that helps me also. It goes back to figuring out where I was going to dine with my Austin friend of I knew where she was staying. So it was I'm looking around bus routes because she was taking the bus. And it's that helps me narrow it down, because again, there's so many places to go to. That's what I was
just going to say.
I need more constraints to make it easy.
That is what I often feel too. When you go to other cities, there's, 2, maybe 3 areas that you can go to, districts or whatever. Yeah. But in New York, there's just endless neighborhoods with endless types of cuisine and experiences. So that's good. You really got to kind of refine exactly.
It's the journalismness. It's I got to know what you actually want and then follow up with that. It's okay, did that actually meet what you wanted?
When you're out talking with chefs, restaurateurs, obviously they're talking about the food in the restaurant, but what else do they tell you? Have you gotten interesting insights in just to their lives and their day-to-day grind running the restaurants? Stuff that doesn't always maybe make it into the story, but are interesting stories.
Those are all vault. Everything is off record. Those are the off record conversations, and I will keep that secret.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's just general. We'll talk about pop culture, Knicks or World Cup, or how's it been, or their family, or things I saw on personal Instagrams from general people. We're all people, right? So it's just people conversations.
That's good. Yeah. And do you do that? Is that I know you're a very people person, so it's natural. It's not an act, but in the sense of when you talk to people, is there a way that you speak to them and approach them where they open up in a more candid way? Because often people can be very...
I'll say it's off record. Yeah. That's honestly, I'll say don't worry, I'm not gonna again. Just, no, it's that thing of I don't want people to feel they're being gotcha'd too. It's the you're safe and I can prove to you that you're gonna be safe, because I'm not gonna. I know secrets, right? I haven't told people that. It's just in my head. Yeah.
Do you have favorite stories that you've written, 2 or 3 that just rise to the top?
Okay, so the Doki Doki one was really fun. I have been, what was it? What was, it's I don't want to look at my phone right now. I did a really fun steak frites roundup earlier
that's a
this
good
year
one.
for Eater New York Substack, where like I had been noticing, because again, like I keep like a running, like I email myself like random trends I'm seeing or random things I've been noticing, and I had noticed a lot of bars and like not traditional steakhouses have been doing steak frites, and it's become like a thing. So like I talked to like a bunch of wine bars and like bars about their steak frites and like why, and like I asked them what their perfect drink for like a steak frite would be, and like that was a really fun article, honestly. This is like the silliest thing ever, whatever. Speaking of the wild summer that New York has had, I'm clearly like a fan of Taylor Swift. And like obviously everyone was like trying to find out everything that they could about the wedding.
Of course.
So I turned it into like, again, it's that fun intersection of like, so what I did is like, again, like I was not going to get any information about the wedding. I know this, right? But there was so many reporting that was already happening and like I could follow up in places. So I did basically an aggregate style thing of like all the food related news that I could glean about the Taylor Swift wedding. So that was like very silly, but
That's
like
fun.
very fun. And it was just like, you're just having fun.
Well, that's again going back to what we said earlier in the conversation that like food has an intersection with so many things throughout society.
Yeah.
So like almost whatever it is,
Yeah.
you can find some interaction and intersection with food. I think you were writing something about New York cookbooks.
Oh, that was I did a Substack recently for Eater New York, where it's something I had been tracking because I'm also a big like I love cooking actually, which makes it hard like when I have to eat out or
What
like
do you cook? What do you have like a favorite type of cuisine or dish?
No, it's I like. It depends on what I'm in the mood for. I've been cooking a lot from oh gosh, I'm gonna Hetty McKinnon's.
Okay.
Hetty. I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Hetty's cookbooks I really love a lot. Also like Chinese-ish, Pan Asian-ish. And I like doing really elaborate stuff. I actually really love baking. So it's been like a godsend to be back in New York where like I can bake for my family and my niece. So one of my biggest go-to recipes is the brown butter chocolate chip cookies from the Brave Tart cookbook, which I love.
Sounds good.
And I also love making pies and 4 and 20 blackbirds. But I did so I obviously track like cookbooks and stuff, and I noticed like there's a lot of really good like New York City restaurant / chefy focused cookbooks that have come out so far. So I was like, all right, let's just do like a roundup of what's been coming out so far.
What makes a good cookbook in your opinion?
Easy to follow, make it very obvious the extra tools that you need, I think, so that it's not like, and the way the recipe is broken down is that you don't like accidentally miss a step. And I like it when people give like time estimates and also visual cues of like, say like if you're searing meat, like give it like not 10 minutes, but whatever, like 10 minutes. And also when it looks a little bit like this, because obviously everyone's like ovens and stoves are like all cook at different pans and like, it's all different. So like, it's like very detailed and stuff like that. And also I'm like, again, like I'm a person like, I like writing in books I own. My cookbooks are like splattered to hell because like because they're using them, and I'll make like little notes to myself too.
Got it. That's great. You're a cook too.
I like it. I'm not a cook, but I enjoy cooking a lot
and baking.
Yeah, and because I also have a garden. I have a balcony garden thanks to my father.
What are
My
you
father
growing?
is my parents' garden is like the most ridiculous, amazing thing. It's something that they've been working on, it's growing for like 10 plus years at this point, right? So my dad started, what did he start for me? A bunch of cherry tomatoes, regular tomatoes, I guess, and 2 eggplant plants. So I just made my first, he grew it, he started it. His magic is like the reason why everything is growing on my balcony right now. And I just harvested and cooked my first eggplant this week. And it was like actually really good.
So are you like a food photographer too, or just a photographer?
I have done food photography.
Okay.
I had been more of like a concert photographer and event photographer back in the day. I used to do a lot of concert photography. Actually, my husband used to review concerts, and I would take photos for his concert reviews.
Look at that food and this is like a fun family. Food and concerts.
Yeah.
Are there any tips for like taking a good food photo? Because I feel like everyone takes photos of their food and posts them online constantly,
Lighting.
including myself. Is it lighting? And I can never like. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this is good, and then you try to like add more saturation, or you do this. Are there any tips?
It's lighting, and like also, I mean, and now I know I hate myself so much for this. I've become a person that I carry.
Oh, you're one of the people that takes the light out.
I'm so sorry because it's work, and because lighting makes such a difference.
Yes.
And I try to be not obnoxious about it. I am very quick to the point, and like I'll do it and put it away completely. But lighting, honestly, like it's lighting and making sure like don't take photos of food you bit into or something. It's just like general.
What about angles? Do you want it like from the side? Do you want it top down?
Okay, so like this is something we've been like, because everyone's trying to perfect. Ideally, what's the ideal thing? It's like a 45-ish, so you got the depth of the dish. If it's like a deep dish, I feel like the overhead is like very millennial coded, but I'm also a millennial, and I still I will take those photos until I die. It depends. Like if you're trying to show like, say it's like a deep dish pizza versus like a New York style pizza, you want that angle a little bit for deep dish because you want to see the depth of it. But you have to do it in such a way that you can see the topping and like that would be a good one. Actually, what I would do for that is get a slice out and like do a side so you see the layers, but you see the depth and you see the top. And making sure, like I think a lot of people don't think about this, realizing what's in the background of your photo. Like if it's like a used plate, like a dirty plate, or like your friend like eating like that. Yeah.
I know. It's
random
just
legs.
Totally changed. I mean, it's just so amazing. Going back even just food reviewing and influencers and all of this.
It's a different world out there, man.
How people are, finding, restaurants and reviewing and what's real and what's not, and who's
like AI also like has been messing up a lot of things, honestly, when it comes to like, is this photo actually a food dish or is it like AI now?
What do you think the future is of food media?
Optimistically,
yes, let's be optimistic.
I think things will shake out. I think it's the like, again, remember when everyone was so beholden to Facebook and like, oh, the algorithms will shake out in a way that real voices, real insights, and real thought will rise above the nonsense.
Yeah.
And that people, and in return, the people who are reading and seeking out these recommendations and these articles and their media diets will seek out those people and those publications and those voices.
Is that so in a sense like people will seek out the authentic voice and authentic experience coming through versus something that's just AI generated
or pay for play or just like the very obvious, like it's hopefully that's where I'm hopeful. And I think when we cultivate readers and people reading our stuff, readers, like it's that maintaining that loyalty and like we'll prove to you, readers of mine, like please read my stuff and I will promise you that I will do the best I can do.
Where do you find like inspiration from food journalism? Are there other, you mentioned cookbooks, but other food writers that you follow, even an influencer that you're like, you know what? They're doing something actually unique.
Oh, that's such a great question. I honestly will say my coworkers
cool.
like, again, like I read everything. I try my best to read everything. I have a lot of tabs open still on my computer. But like my coworkers in LA and San Francisco and DC, like everyone's doing just like and the .com, like, Bettina and Frankie, like I get inspired by them and their insights and the way they find interesting ways of telling the stories that they want to tell. Diane in San Francisco is doing really wonderful narrative newsletters. In LA, they've been doing kick-ass videos, like really fun videos. Kat Thompson takes her mom out to Thai restaurants, and they talk like and it's just like fun, I think that's also like I think we need like yes, we have to report on like the big news or like important like things that impact our world, and we also just like let's have fun. I read a lot of Substack, obviously, and newsletters. there's Christy in Minneapolis. I read a lot of my former coworkers as well. I also don't just read New York stuff. Like I try to keep up with, I still read a lot of Austin stuff and Texas stuff to just keep up what's happening there. I read a lot of LA, Florida. I'm also like a fiction reader as well. Like a book. Why did I say it that way? I read a lot of books. I watch a lot of movies. Watch a lot of TV shows. Like it's.
Got any good book recommendations?
Ooh.
Doesn't have to be food related.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of T. Kara Madden's a book Would-Be. She's a fantastic her memoir. I'm gonna butcher the name and I'm so sorry, T. Kara. Long Live the Tribe of Fatherless Girls was her memoir. This is her first novel. It is so good. It's just like multiple perspectives, really deep storytelling, really interesting interstitials of like articles and like transcripts and stuff like that.
What about TV show series?
We just caught up on The Comeback, the new season of the latest season of The Comeback, which was like fantastic. Lisa Kudrow is so good. And speaking of AI, what a interesting treatise on AI as well. We're in the middle of watching. We still need to finish Beef. I'm sure there's like bad that I can't think of.
Well, those are good.
What else? Yeah.
So, finally, what is, in your view, the state of the New York City restaurant industry, or even just the restaurant industry at large across the country?
Everyone's struggling. Everything is so expensive. Everyone's struggling to compete among the voices and things like that. I bow down to anyone running a business and especially a restaurant in today's world. Like I know how hard that is, and hopefully, you get to cultivate those regulars. You get to you have that main group. I hope you have a not evil landlord that is kind to you and doesn't raise your rent by like 1,000,000,000%. I hope, I would like to see, because I feel like a lot of restaurants are like dependent on investors, which like sort of sucks because that's where you get that samification-ness that I think the infatuation coined of like that blandness. And like I'd prefer to see, and I know people you too, right? Like we want to see restaurants open with perspectives and point of views that are uniquely them.
Yes.
And that's what makes it, like that's what's going to get people. And I hope that continues to happen in ways that are not financially dire for the restaurant owners themselves.
Nadia, thank you for coming on the
course.
show. You are the just the deputy editor of Eater New York and Eater's Northeast region. That's a lot of territory. That's a very important job. You're doing a great job at it. Thank you for coming on Hospitality and Politics. I'm Andrew Ridgie. Show is powered by the New York City Hospitality Alliance. Go eat lots of good food and support local restaurants. See you next time.
Thank you so much.